Students, in the last video, we studied about that is law of constant proportion, and we saw how to verify it also. Now, in today's video, let us study the about the size of the atom, mass of the atom, and valency. Okay. Now see from which experiments this is. Can you recall? Okay, so you have studied this already. From which experiments was it discovered that atoms have an internal structure? When? Okay, now see, Rutherford's gold foil experiment proved the existence of a small massive center to atoms, which would later be known as the nucleus of an atom. Okay, so this Rutherford's experiment, gold foil experiment, you have studied this, isn't it? Now this experiment, okay, it proved the existence of a small massive center, and later on it came to be known as the nucleus. And this Ernest Rutherford, Hans Geiger, and Ernest Marsden carried out their gold foil experiment to observe the effect of alpha particles on matter. What are the two parts of an atom and what are they made up of? You know, there are two parts, okay, of an atom. The inside part, okay, yes, that is the central part. It contains the nucleus and protons, and the outer part, it contains the electrons which are holded in their orbit. So they revolve around the nucleus in their fixed orbit. So we have learned that at the center of an atom is the nucleus, and that there are moving electrons in the extranuclear part, correct? So two parts. One is the nucleus, okay, yes, the nuclear part, and the second one is the extranuclear part. So in the nuclear part, that is the nucleus, it contains the nucleus and the protons, and the outer extranuclear part contains the moving electrons. The electrons are negatively charged elementary particles, while the elementary particles that make up the nucleus are positively charged protons and electrically neutral neutrons. See, you know, the central nucleus which is there, okay, it contains that is the central part, it contains the nucleus and the protons. These protons which are there, okay, they are positively charged, and the nucleus which is there, it is neither positive nor negative, it is neutral. And the that is the electrons which are revolving around the nucleus, okay, that is the extranuclear part, those are the negatively charged particles. So look at the image of an atom obtained with a field ion microscope. So you can see below, okay, the image of an atom. See field ion microscope images of iridium atoms. Every spot in this image is an atom. So you can see over here, isn't it? You can see each spot which is there, it represents an atom. The size of an atom is determined by its radius. The atomic radius of an isolated atom is the distance between the nucleus of an atom and its outermost orbit. Okay, so the size of an atom, how it is determined? The size of an atom is determined by its radius. You know what is the radius, right? So it is the distance from the central part to the outermost, that is the circumference of the circle, right? Now here the outermost orbit, okay, so the distance between the central of the atom, that is from the nucleus to the outermost orbit. The atomic radius of an isolated atom is the distance between the nucleus of an atom and its outermost orbit. So atomic radius, okay, so how is this atomic radius expressed? You know, atomic radius is expressed in nanometers. So the unit of atomic radius is what? Nanometers. Now approximate size of atom. See, atomic radius example, okay, examples are given. 10 to the power of minus 10. Okay, it is hydrogen atom. Okay, so the atomic radius of hydrogen atom is 10 to the power of minus 10. Water molecule, it is 10 to the power of minus 9. Hemoglobin, it is 10 to the power of minus 8. Okay, it's given in meters. So remember that 1 by 10 to the power of 9 meters. Okay, yes, see, 1 to the power of 1 by 10 to the power of 9 meters is equal to 1 nanometer. That is, 1 nanometer is equal to 10. If you take this 10 to the power of 9 upside, okay, it will become minus 9, isn't it? So 1 meter is equal to 10 to the power of minus 9 nanometers. So this is important. Remember, 1 meter is equal to 10 to the power of minus 9 nanometer. Sorry, 1 meter is equal to 10 to the power of 9 nanometer. So 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. Okay, so this unit is important. Now see, atoms are very tiny. Okay, modern instruments like the electron microscope, field ion microscope, scanning, tunneling microscope have the capacity to show enlarged images of the atom. Okay, so simple instruments, simple microscopes, you will not be able to see the atoms. Atoms are very tiny, isn't it? So thus modern instruments, which instruments? Electron microscope, then field ion microscope and scanning tunneling microscope. Okay, so this three microscopes, they have the capacity to show enlarged image, means they amplify the image, okay, into big, and so that you will be able to see the image clearly. Now see, the atomic size depends on the number of electron orbits in the atom. The greater the number of orbits, the larger the size. For example, an atom of K is bigger than an atom of sodium. If two atoms have the same outermost orbit, then the atom have the larger number of electrons in the outermost orbit is smaller than the one having fewer electrons in the same outermost orbit. Now see, the atomic size, the atomic size which is there, it is going to depend on the number of electrons. Orbits means the number of orbits, how many are there. Okay, the size is going to depend on it. So the if the number of orbits are more, the size will be larger. For example, see, atom of potassium. Okay, see, atom of potassium is bigger than sodium. Okay, because it is having more orbits than sodium. So the size of the atom of potassium is going to be bigger than the atom of sodium. If two atoms have the same outermost orbit, you think the orbits, the number of orbits, okay, in two atoms are same, then what you have to see? Then see, the atom having the larger number of electrons, okay, in the outermost orbit is smaller. So wherever the number of electrons, okay, in the outermost orbit is going to be more, okay, the size of that atom is going to be small. Why do you think this is happening? See, if the electrons are more in the outermost orbit, what is going to happen? The nucleus is going to pull that orbit more towards it, isn't it? It's going to pull the electrons. So what is going to happen? The size of the orbit will reduce, okay, the size of that atom is going to reduce. So the one having fewer electrons in the same means the see, atom having larger number of electrons in the outermost orbit is smaller than the one having fewer electrons in the same outermost orbit. Means what? When you take two atoms, the electrons in the outermost orbit in whichever atoms is going to be less, the size of that atom is going to be more. Okay? Yes, you are understanding? So, what is going to happen? The larger the number of electrons, the size is going to be smaller. Okay, now see the mass of an atom. The mass of an atom is concentrated in its nucleus and it is due to the protons and neutrons in it. The number P plus N in the atomic nucleus is called the atomic mass number. Protons and neutrons are together called nucleons. Now see the mass of an atom. How you are going to determine the mass of an atom? See the mass of the atom which is there. You saw the size of the atom. It is measured from, that is it's the radius of the atom, right? Yes, from the nucleus to the outermost orbit, it is the size of the atom. Now, but what about the mass? The mass of the atom, remember, it is concentrated in the nucleus. Okay? And why it is concentrated in the nucleus? It is because, you know, in the nucleus what is present? Neutrons and protons are present, and these neutrons which are there, they are neutral and the protons have positive charge. So the numbers P plus N, that is the protons plus neutrons in the atomic nucleus, is called as the atomic mass number. Protons and neutrons, they together, it's called as nucleons. An atom is very, very tiny. Remember this, atom is very, very small. You have seen. Yes, I have told you just about. Then, how do we determine its mass? You know, see, atom is too very small, too very tiny. So, how you are going to determine the mass? Scientists too struggled with this question. It was not possible for scientists of the 19th century to measure atomic mass accurately. Therefore, the concept of relative mass of an atom was put forth. So, what happened, you know? See, the scientists who were working on this in the 19th century, yes, they, to measure the atomic mass, they couldn't measure it accurately, that is correctly. So, what happened? The concept of relative mass of an atom, this concept was put forth. Okay, so a reference atom was required for expressing the relative mass of an atom. So if you want to that is consider relative mass of an atom, then you will have to take one reference atom with which you can compare, okay, the other atoms. So which atom was taken as the reference atom? See, the hydrogen atom, okay, being the lightest, okay, this hydrogen atom which is there, it is the lightest atom. So this was initially chosen as the reference atom. The relative mass of a hydrogen atom which has only one proton in its nucleus was accepted as 1. Okay, you know this hydrogen, okay, yes, its valency is also 1, atomic number is also 1. So what happened? The proton in its nucleus, okay, it's 1, okay. So the relative mass of this hydrogen atom, this was considered as the reference atom because it was the lightest one. Therefore, the magnitude of the relative atomic masses of various atoms became equal to their atomic mass number. Now, let us see how to express the relative mass of a nitrogen atom having accepted the relative atomic mass of hydrogen as 1. So, we will see how to express this relative mass of nitrogen. You know, for reference, you are going to take hydrogen atom, isn't it? The mass of hydrogen you are going to take. Now, see, the mass of one nitrogen atom is 14 times that of hydrogen atom. So, how many times more it is? The mass of nitrogen atom, you know, it is going to be 14 times more than hydrogen atom. Therefore, the relative mass of nitrogen, we are going to consider it as 14. So, just like this, okay, the relative mass of the other elements also were determined. So, on the scale, the relative atomic mass of elements came out to be fractional. So, what happened when we start, that is when it started considering the relative atomic mass, okay, that time the atomic mass of various atoms, okay, yes, they came out to be fractional, in fraction. So therefore, in the course of time, different atoms were chosen as reference atoms. So slowly what happened? Initially hydrogen atom was considered, then slowly with time different atoms were chosen as reference atoms. Finally in 1961, okay, carbon atom was selected as the reference atom. So what happened? Initially it was taken as hydrogen as the reference atom. Then slowly the many other elements, okay, yes, atoms, they were chosen as reference atoms, okay, because the atomic masses of many elements came to be fractional. Then what happened? In 1961, at last, okay, the carbon atom was selected, okay, as the reference atom. Then see, in this scale, the relative mass of carbon, okay, was accepted as 12. Okay, so the that is the mass of carbon atom, it came to be that is accepted as 12. The relative atomic mass of one hydrogen atom compared to the carbon atoms became, yes, 12 into 1 by 12, that is 1. So see, the relative atomic mass of one hydrogen atom, when you are going to compare it, you know, hydrogen atom was considered as a reference atom. So if you consider hydrogen atom, okay, if you are going to compare it, compare this carbon atom with hydrogen atom, then it is going to be 12, correct, into 1 by 12, that is 1. So the mass of one proton and one neutron on the scale of relative atomic mass is approximately 1. So, see, the relative atomic masses of some elements in the chart below are given. You have to find the relative atomic masses of the that is of the others. Okay, some they have given you. Now, hydrogen is going to be 1, helium 4, lithium 7, beryllium 9, boron 11, carbon 12, nitrogen 14, oxygen you are going to find out by seeing the atomic mass in the modern periodic table. Okay, so you are going to find out, you know, I have told you above how to find out. You are going to consider hydrogen as the reference atomic mass. Fluorine 19, neon 20, sodium you are going to find out, magnesium 24, aluminium you will find out, silicon 28, phosphorus you have to find out, sulfur 32, chlorine 35.5, argon, potassium you will find out, calcium is going to be 40. So I have told you where to find out this, correct? Atomic masses you will find it in the periodic table, modern periodic table. Now see, today we have highly accurate methods for measuring the mass of an atom directly. Hence, instead of relative mass, unified mass has now been accepted as the unit of atomic mass. Now you know, see, the relative mass was taken, but now you know you have some accurate methods for measuring the mass of the atom. So instead of the relative mass, okay, instead of this relative mass, what has been accepted? Unified mass has now been accepted as the unit of atomic mass. So that is called as Dalton. Okay, and the symbol given is over here, U. Okay, that is Dalton. So 1 Dalton is equal to 1.6605390 4 into 10 to the power of minus 27 kg. Okay, yes. So hope you have understood this. So let us study the chemical symbols of elements, okay, in the next video.